What's up, everybody? Chester ARP Church Devotional Podcast. Hey, thanks for joining us. My name's Clint Davis, your host. Let's get started just a sec.
Each winding path I tread gives me grace for every trial, feeds me with the living bread.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We jump right into John chapter 12, the last few verses of John 12, beginning in verse 44. This is what we read. And Jesus cried out and said, "Whoever believes in me believes not in me, but in him who sent me. And whoever sees me sees him who sent me. I have come into the world as light, so that whoever believes in me may not remain in darkness. If anyone hears my words and does not keep them, I do not judge him. For I did not come into the world to judge the world, but to save the world. The one who rejects me and does not receive my word has a judge. The word that I have spoken will judge him on the last day. For I have not spoken on my own authority, but a Father, or the Father who sent me, has given me a commandment, what to say and what to speak. And I know that his commandment is eternal life. What I say, therefore, I say as the Father has told me." Jesus is coming to the conclusion of his life. John chapter 12, he's in the last week of his life. He's hanging out in Jerusalem. He's going to be crucified by the Thursday. This is a Sunday, or sometime during the week that he says this. We know that John doesn't really give us detailed accounts of what happens from Sunday to Thursday. We know that John chapter 13 is the beginning of the Thursday, where Jesus will have the Passover meal with his disciples. John focuses a lot of his attention on that actual meal, on Jesus' interaction with his disciples, his teaching following that meal, and then, of course, his arrest and trial, and then crucifixion, and then resurrection. So sometime in that week, Jesus says these words that we just read. This is the end of chapter 12. And it's interesting because there are three things I really want to point out. Number one is Jesus clearly identifies himself as God. Look what he says. "Whoever believes in me believes not in me, but in him who sent me. And whoever sees me sees him who sent me." There's a clear identification with God here, because what Jesus says is that I was sent by the Father, and when you see me, you see the Father. Now, this is a major theme throughout John's Gospel. If you're familiar with John's Gospel and you read it along with us, or if you're just familiar with John's Gospel at all, or you're interested, there's a major theme that runs throughout the entirety of John's Gospel, that Jesus is the revelation of God. John begins his prologue, verse 18 says, "No one has ever seen God, but the one and only God who is at the Father's right hand." That's Jesus, the Word, has made him known to us. Jesus is the one who makes known to us the realities of God. We see God in the person of Jesus. You want to know who God is? Look to Jesus. His word testifies to his realities as who he is and his character, and Jesus and his humanity demonstrates that and shows that to the world in terms that we can understand. The book of Hebrews says that Jesus is the exact representation of the Father who is in heaven. So he is the revelation of God. God reveals himself to us in the person of Jesus Christ, because God comes and takes on human form in the person of Jesus Christ. So Jesus here is clearly saying, I am God. That's a problem for the Jews. It's been a problem for men, women, and children throughout human history. It will be a problem until Christ returns for them, because Jesus clearly says, I am God in the flesh. God comes and dwells among us. Now, if you have trusted Christ and you have received the blessing of eternal life from trusting him, it's not a problem for you at all. It's a wonderful blessing, because it means that not only did God come and take on human flesh to reveal himself, he came and took on human flesh to pursue you. He came and took on human flesh to identify with you, but he came and took on human flesh to save you. That's the second point. Jesus says, I've come to reveal God. I've come to make God known. You believe in me or not believe in me, I'm not going to judge you at the moment. Now, Jesus will stand in judgment in the last day when he returns. But right now, he says, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to save you. The Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Jewish leaders, the people who rejected Jesus, right? They didn't believe in him, will be judged on their rejection of him one day. The word that he says, the word that he speaks will judge them. In other words, the truth will judge you. The truth will judge me. Jesus says later, the truth will set you free. He says that in John chapter 8, and he says we are be sanctified or made holy in the truth. It's not only is the truth going to set us free, make us holy, the truth is going to judge us. Did we receive the truth? Did we believe in the truth? Did we follow the truth? Right? And so Jesus here says, the truth will judge you on the last day, but I'm not judging you right now. I came to save the world. Jesus' first advent, his first coming, was to save the world and to take on human flesh, to live, to die, to rise again, so that you and I may be saved. He came to obey God perfectly on our behalf. He came to offer himself in our place, so that we may be pardoned and forgiven, and we may be declared right before God because of what Jesus has done. And then his Spirit works within us to make us holy through his truth. And so Jesus says, I came to save the world. He will come and judge, but initially he came to save. I came to save the world. And then he says, I have come into the world as light, so that whoever believes in me may not remain in darkness. Because John, again, has this theme of trusting Jesus, walking in him. We're walking in light. There is light shining in our lives. We have clarity. We have understanding. We have thought. We have wisdom. Those things that come from following Jesus and walking in his light. And those who refuse to walk in him walk in darkness, and they have confusion and chaos in their lives, and bitterness and anger and frustration, etc. Right? Because they refuse to walk in the light of Christ. And so this comes down to, I came to reveal, I came to give you light, I came to save. Now, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to trust, or are you not? That's what Jesus is getting at the end of his life. Great question for all of us. You guys have a great day. God bless you. I'll catch you next time.
You carry me close to your heart, and surely your goodness and mercy will follow.